Have you ever had a boss who demanded a report no one ever looked at? I used to work for a huge telecommunications company, buried somewhere in the reporting department with 3 layers of management above me. First was my manager, Alan. Above him was Ben. And sitting at the top of our little pyramid was Carla, a senior manager who had mastered the art of sounding confident, even when she had no real grasp of the details. My job revolved around building management reports. Not the simple ones. These were complex Excel files filled with formulas, macros, pivot tables, and graphs that could make someone's eyes water. The funny thing was, none of the managers above me had the slightest idea how any of it worked. To them, Excel might as well have been a spell book. If a graph moved when I changed a number, that was wizard level stuff. Carla had one consistent habit. Whenever she heard something in a meeting that confused her, or even mildly concerned her, she immediately demanded weekly updates. It didn't matter if it affected the company or not. If anything sounded like a potential issue, she wanted a weekly report on it. And because Ben wanted to keep her happy, those requests always turned into assignments for me. The year this happened, things were rough. The company had gone through layoffs, and I basically ended up covering the workload of 2 people. I was drowning in spreadsheets, deadlines, and last-minute requests. So when Alan told me that Ben wanted a brand new weekly report because Carla requested it in a meeting, I already knew I wasn't going to like the reason. She wants a weekly report showing the top 3 colors of widgets sold, Alan said. I blinked at him. Colors? But the colors don't matter. They're just whatever the supplier sends, and half the time the widgets get buried underground. Nobody even sees them. I told Ben that, Alan sighed. He told Carla that. Carla still wants it, so we're making it. So I created the report, and like many things in our department, it wasn't automated. It required a tedious 40-minute manual extraction from a system that was old enough to have its own personality. Every week I typed, copied, pasted, cleaned up the data, built the same graphs, saved the file, and put it in the shared folder. Then I emailed all 3 managers with the link, and for 8 straight weeks, nothing happened. No one asked questions, no one commented, no one even acknowledged the reports existed. Deep down, I knew exactly why. Carla had probably forgotten about the entire request by the time she'd left the meeting, but Ben wouldn't allow the report to stop because that would mean admitting to Carla that it didn't matter in the first place. One day, exhausted and behind on real work that actually mattered, I went to Alan and told him, I can't keep spending time on this report. No one's looking at it, and I'm falling behind on more important tasks. I know, he said, but Ben won't let us stop unless Carla says so. He doesn't want anything coming back to him. That answer didn't help me get 40 minutes back every week. I went back to the shared folder and stared at the long list of files. Widget color report week 1, widget color report week 2, widget color report week 3, widget color report week 8. Hours of my life sitting there untouched, and that's when I had an idea. The next week, instead of building the full report, I opened a blank Excel file, made the text bold, bright red, and enormous, and typed error retrieving data, data link failure, code 2387AGT. Then I saved it as widget color report week 9. I still produced a report, it just didn't contain anything. I waited. A full week passed. Nobody said a thing. So I copied the file, renamed it to week 10, and dropped it right in the folder. Another week passed. Still nothing. That became my routine. Open last week's file, copy, rename, done. A 4-second task replacing a 40-minute one, and week after week after week. Silence. After 5 months of this, Alan finally brought me in to formally review my workload. He knew I had too much on my plate. As we went through the list of reports I handled, I mentioned the color report casually. There's been an issue with the data upload on that one, I said. It hasn't worked for a while, but no one's noticed, so maybe it isn't actually important. Alan nodded immediately. If they're not noticing, stop doing it. And if Ben asks later, we'll just tell him the system needs an update. I just smiled. I'm sure we can get it working again if they ever need it. Might just take a little copy-paste magic. He accepted that explanation without hesitation. And that was the end of the weekly widget color report, probably forever.